All right. Welcome to tonight's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Mick is back with us again today.
What's up?
And it is the Halloween season. It is October 5th. It is the 5th of October. I feel like you should be drinking some tequilas. Not tequila. What would be a Halloween drink?
Oh, well,
I don't know. I don't drink either, so I couldn't tell you.
Pumpkin spice beer,
Pumpkin
I guess.
spice
That's
beer.
that's what everybody seems to be drinking.
Oh man, I remember working at a restaurant where Tina was, and they go, "Here, try this," and it's like, "It's pumpkin beer." I was like, "Nah, I'll pass. I'm good."
Blue Tarantula tequila.
Blue Tarantula tequila.
That's the thing, right? I remember something like that. I got really drunk one night. It was one of the last times that I drank.
God, I'm trying to remember. It's been 6 years. 6 years since I had a drink. It's bad because I know there's some people who know exactly the last day. I can tell you the last day I drank and how it was, but I cannot tell you what was the last day I drank.
I can tell you the last time I got drunk, and that's the last time that I got drunk, but I still have like a beer like once every 6 months or something like that. But
I haven't had a beer. I haven't had anything.
Yeah.
I went to my friend's wedding.
I quit drinking after that night, though.
And it has God, I think it's been over 7 years because I didn't drink at his wedding. I literally had the champagne in my hand, and I poured it, and I'm like, congratulations. And I was like, and I set it down. I was like, so it had to be, I think, over 7 years ago. So it was probably just shy of 8 years at this point. I don't know, but I know people that know exactly when the day they stopped drinking was. I got a new hat the other day.
I've told this story before. I quit drinking the last time I got drunk because the last time I got drunk, a chair kicked my ass twice. One chair kicked my ass twice.
Oh, what was it? One of my favorite things, I talked to my buddy Josh when he was sick. He was in bad shape. He was a good guy, but I ran into him in a convention. His face was all bashed in. I was like, "Man, what am I?" He goes, "Oh, meds." He goes, "I got into a fight with the floor." And I was like, "Never get into a fight with the floor." He goes, "Why is that?" I said, "Because the floor will never back down. It's already back down. Mm-hmm. It's not going to go any further down."
That's the bad thing about getting drunk is that you just don't care what you fight. You're just going to fight it, and you're going to lose every time.
Oh, yeah. That's why I always tell Tina when we go out to concerts, we went to see, I went and seen Bret Michaels. And I'm sitting there enjoying the music, enjoying the day, and this drunk is in front of me, and he's just, and I'm like, oh my God. And he keeps bumping into me. And I'm like, I looked at Tina, I was like, I got to walk away for a minute. I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be back. So I walked off, got to the restroom. I took a song, watched the song play from back in the distance, relaxed. I got up there, and I'm like, man, I was like, I get it. He's drunk. I was like, I want to just knock him out. But when they're drunk, they don't know why they got knocked out. All they do is wake up the next day and, got a black eye or something. Mm-hmm. So, all right, now let's drinking stories and stuff like that.
You see me. Everyone knows what time of year it is. It's Halloween. This Halloween, make sure adults see you coming with shiny, bright yellow Halloween safety bags from Pizza Hut and 28 WPTF-TV. And be careful trick-or-treating this Halloween. Tell your parents where you're going and who's going with you. Before you go out, you can pick up a free Halloween safety bag. Come to any participating Pizza Hut restaurant and pick one up. The Halloween safety bag is free from your friends at Pizza Hut and WPTF-TV.
Last year, one of everyone's favorite candies appeared in a Halloween-sized pack.
Skittles.
And word spread quickly.
Is this the house that gives Skittles? See, I told ya.
As always,
tonight's episode.
Tonight's episode, we're going to talk about true horror stories, true scary stories.
Personal scary stories.
We had John on a couple weeks back with World Paranormal, and Mick it's inspired Mick to look into some of your past adventures.
Yeah, there was one story that John told about the one guy where they were doing a investigation and they were taking all these pictures, and in all these pictures, everybody was in focus in these pictures except for this one guy. And this one guy had like this melted face, like his face was just, it was weird, it was distorted or something like that. And I had almost exactly the same experience back in 2009. I went down to Savannah to visit my parents, and they took us on a ghost tour.
Mm-hmm.
And the house that we went to, actually, if you look it up, it's if you look up Ghost Hunters Savannah,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same house that Ghost Hunters did. There was supposedly like a slave girl that died in this
Mm-hmm.
house or something like that. It's one of the most haunted houses in Savannah. A lot of paranormal activity that happens there. Well, me, my mom and dad, and now my now ex-wife were there, and we had our camera, and the camera that I had never had malfunctioned at all, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there taking pictures. I'm taking pictures of my mom and dad, and taking pictures of. I'm just taking weird pictures, ceiling, stuff like that. But I'm taking pictures of my wife, and every single picture of just my wife, her face was
blurred.
but everybody else in the background was perfectly crystal clear. My mom was standing right next to her, crystal clear. Everything else, but every single picture of her face, it was just her face too. Like her body was crystal clear, but her face was like, it just looked like
Like
distorted.
like
Yeah, exactly.
like
Like a Tool video.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
And when he said that, I was driving down the road, and I got my phone in my pocket, and I got earphones on, and I'm looking at the radio, because that's just, you're used to yelling at the radio. I'm like, oh my God, that happened to me.
see that's what's great about this show is I get people who contact me and are like, I wanted to call.
Mm-hmm.
I
did. Man, if you were live and I was able to call in that night, I would have been on there saying, "Oh my God, I've had to." I mean, because that's what makes me think. Like, see, I'm half a skeptic. I want to believe that a lot of this stuff is true. I like to look and observe and try to debunk it. And find a natural reason why there's that bump. Like, boom, there's a bump. Oh, what was that? Oh, the freaking the air conditioner.
Yeah, we got squirrels.
Moved, whatever. Moved the freaking broom, and the broom knocked up against the thing. You can you can debunk it and everything else. But there's just so many things out there that has happened and everything else, and stories like that where they kind of get like, I don't know who John is.
No.
I've never met John.
Yeah.
I don't know what investigations he's ever done, but for some reason, he has almost the same exact paranormal style story that I have personally.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about that is like I said, this is one of the ones like I look into, because like I said, I am the skeptic of the group when it comes to Tina and I. Tina is the believer. I'm the skeptic. I've been in ghost hunting groups, and I've always been the skeptic. Is, the fact is, you guys had two experiences, not even remotely close to the same area. I don't even know if it was close to the same time. But it worked. It came out really close to the exact same thing that happened. I mean, what's funny, because you were talking about the haunting, and all I can think of is the haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghosts of Georgia, the greatest movie, the greatest sequel to a movie ever. Haunting in Connecticut 2,
that might be
Ghosts of Georgia.
That might be arguable.
Yeah,
but all right.
But no, I just love the whole fact it's Haunting in Connecticut, Ghost of Georgia. Yeah. Not same state, not even in the same region.
There might be a Connecticut, Georgia.
They're East Coast. That's about as good as you get. Years ago, and the thing is that a lot of this footage that I have is logged away, lost to time. You were talking about your stuff was on a computer that the computer gave up the ghost.
Yeah, I was trying to find the pictures because my ex-wife keeps everything no matter
Mhm.
what, and she still has the pictures. Unfortunately, they're on a laptop that has blue screen of death, and all she's ever done with it, she's never tried to. She doesn't want to get rid of the laptop because someday she may want to do this stuff,
Yeah.
to retrieve all this stuff, but it's just in storage right now. So
Yeah, but mine is that we did. Oh Jesus, I don't know how many years ago it was now. Vince wasn't even born. We were at the crossing at Kirkwood Road, and the train tracks that go north south through Miami Shelby County, and whatever. And a lot of people have died there. Lots of people died. Sorry. We went. Well, that's where we started. We went up the road a little bit to where they used to call Dead Man's Curve.
okay.
Dead Man's Curve is an S-shaped area where the road comes in like this, and anybody watching the video will totally get what I'm saying. But the people listening to this on the podcast will be like, "What the heck is he talking about?"
Just
the interstate.
imagine a dead man's curve.
Yeah, the train tracks go straight through, but the road S's over the train track.
That's a bad place.
And it was horrible. It was a
Horrible place to
horrible,
put a
horrible
train
place.
track.
I lived eighth of a mile away from that curve growing up. Well, not from growing up, from about 88 to 94. I lived there, and there was always wrecks there because now there's actual crossings. They straightened out the road so it's not S-shaped. They cut down all the trees because you couldn't see nothing till you were right up on it.
There's a reason for that. It probably got sued or something like that for all the.
But a lot of people have died there over the years. My mom is standing there. Everybody's taking pictures and snapping off pictures and stuff. And my mom takes a picture, and literally there is a smoke shape standing in between all of us. The only person that caught it was my mom. It shows up in, I think, 2 pictures. And that one is the one I have never been able to debunk because we thought, okay, I don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's paranormal because it was about this time of year. So it's October, it's starting to get cool. You would get, even though it wasn't cold, you would still get like steam, so but we got that, and there's literally, it's in the picture.
Just like a ghostly.
Just a steam, like a.
Is it in the shape of a?
It's smoke, and it's about the size of a person.
Okay.
And it's it's one of the ones where it's. I've never been able to disprove it, but then again,
There's
I've never.
no detail to it.
There's no detail to it. I believe it's just we caught something that I don't say it's paranormal. I'm not saying it's not paranormal. I've never been able to disprove it. I've never been able to prove it. So
just again questions because trying to debunk it or whatever is in the camera that was used. Did you use it afterwards?
Yeah, it's never done it again.
Never done it again.
Never done it again.
That's the thing about Savannah is again that camera never malfunctioned on us, never gave us anything like that. And then after that night, even the whole rest of the vacation in Savannah, nothing else like that. It was just in that house taking pictures of my wife at the time.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, it's like I said, I can't disprove that, but yeah, you get, especially when it's electronics and stuff like that, because this isn't film. Because no one shoots on film anymore.
Yeah, this was
all digital. That's what ours was, and ours was an early digital
Yep.
camera. So this is Jesus Christ. 15, 16, 15, I don't know if it's been that long.
Well, mine was 2009, and the camera was pretty brand new at the time. So
Ours was probably 2000. Let's say, about 2007, 2008. And it was probably roughly around the same time, and it was probably the camera that we had was a newer one. Because I recorded on digital camera, I recorded on video, so we have high 8 camcorder, and and I had a high 8, I had a VHS-C, And I had like multiple cameras because I figured, you know what, we're going to get this stuff. If we get it, we got multiple cameras. We had voice recorders and stuff like that. I never got the first thing on a voice recorder ever. Because voice recorders are, notoriously bad at picking up stuff that they're not supposed to be picking up anyways. But you know, when it comes to like ghosts and stuff like that, I think for me, this time of year is just more weird stuff, like weird, unsettling stuff. I don't know if I've ever put this one on the podcast or not. I might have like forever ago, and it might be an old one. But when I was a kid, so this is probably 88, 89 maybe. I was on my relative's farm, and me and my one cousin, we'd take off and we'd ride the quad runner or the three-wheeler. We'd ride it all over back. This is north of Sydney. And we're riding, and we find what was obviously had been like an access road or a driveway at one point. Because you could see everything was grown up real heavy over it, but it was still
kind of, you could
yeah,
see
you can see where gravel it had been and stuff like that. So we're like, taking off. We go down through there, and there's a truck and a barn and a house. And the truck is all rusting out and stuff, and it's just sitting there, and his house is sitting there. There's grass grown way up, and
I think maybe you told me this.
yeah.
Is this because we were talking about trucks or something like that? You said that did you find a truck with the keys in it or something?
No, we found the keys in the house.
In the house, okay.
Yeah, this is.
I remember a little bit of this.
This has been a long time ago because technically, kids, this is breaking and entering.
Yeah.
But
nobody lived there. Like,
no one. But no one had lived there because you could tell no one had lived there forever. And we go up and we're looking in the windows and stuff like that, and we look in and everything is still
dun, dun, dun.
where everybody. It looked like somebody just got up and left. But you could see where like raccoons had gotten in and dug holes in the walls, and the ceilings were starting to rot and stuff like that. And we just started, and we got in. And we go in, and you go into the kitchen, and it's literally looks like a 1950s maybe era kitchen. You open up the cabinets, there's still the remnants of cans still in there. The refrigerator was still there. There was still, had been food in there at one point. You look, and there was, you open up the drawers, there was still silverware and stuff. We started walking around the house, and you can see where like the roof had caved in part of it, and you can see where like raccoons had got in, but there were still beds that were made.
Yeah,
and
it was like literally like someone just decided one day, I don't want to live here anymore, and just left with whatever they were carrying.
But here's the crazy part is that I've been telling this story for so long. I mean, shit, this is, 30 some years now. People go, I think I know where that's at. And the rumor is that it was an older couple. They died, like car wreck or something like that. And no one ever went back to the house. Like
that's hence the reason why you found the keys to the truck that was outside.
Yeah.
Inside, like, it was just literally like you could have taken, if the truck was still running, probably put a new battery in that freaking truck and just drive it off.
Yeah, I mean, that thing had probably been setting, and at that point, it had probably been setting for 20 years. And we're just like, we're and of course, we're like, man, we're kids. We're like, man, we should take something. And then it's like that whole thing of, I don't want to take nothing, screw that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
You're gonna take that haunted item back home, and the ghost is gonna follow you back.
The thing is, though, is you don't realize how just unsettling it is to be in a house where it just looked like they just. I mean,
it's like a time capsule.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Because I mean, there was still pictures on the walls. The ones that that's the sad part about it is some of the stuff had fell because the walls had gotten wet and shit and damp and whatever, they had fell, and you'd walk around and you'd open up the drawers, and we're like, there's still clothes in them. And
I mean, in all honesty, it sounds like the beginning of a American Horror Story, thing
Yeah.
where like the people move into the house, and then as it pans, someone's looking, and as it pans, it just kind of morphs into like 1960s, the same
Yeah.
house, but it's a different,
And-
different air.
and
Whoa!
it was just the oddest thing, and we would go back, and we never, like I said, we never took nothing. At least I never did. And we went all through that house and stuff, and it was just like all of a sudden, the summer ended and we just never went back. And I don't know if it ever got bulldozed over, if it got just fell apart and people forgot about it, or what. It's north of Sydney somewhere. Oh my God, I couldn't even tell you where it's at right now, but it's way out there. Um, but yeah, it's in the middle of the country. You like I said, you was in the woods.
There's a few years ago, it's kind of east of Sydney, but I used to drive my truck through there,
Mm-hmm.
and going through there, there was a barn over on basically the south side, as I was headed west towards Sydney, and there was a cab over, like a 1940s Chevy cab over. That was you could just barely see it through the doors, but you could see it. So one day I was like, man, I'm gonna go there and look at that, see what's going on with that, and try to see, because there's a house right across the road, and I was like, maybe hit the house and knock on and see if it's for sale or not. And I went back with my friend Steve at the time, and he and I started looking around and look at the cab over, go further into the barn. There's two Chevy Vegas, no, Corvairs.
Oh,
Corvairs, the ones with the engines in the back or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were so rotted, like it was just the body, it was just laying on the ground because all the suspension and everything had been rotten
Rotten
away
through,
for so long, and everything else. And it was kind of like what you said right there, is that we went over to the house to knock on the door to see if anybody was home. It was a fully furnished house. There was silverware on the table. There were plates on the table. It was fully furnished. You can just peering in, you can see the couch and everything else. Nobody lived there. We did some investigation. We found some people down along the way, and we asked them, hey, who owns this house? Because we're interested in possibly buying this cab over. And they're like, oh, that's these people over here. So we went to this farmland that was way far away. I mean, it was like 5 miles away from this house. And we knocked on the door, and the lady answered, and we asked them, and said, do you own this place over here on this road, with this like blue cab over? And she was like, oh yeah, that's our place. And we're like, oh, okay, is that for sale? I'm like, no, that's not for sale. Okay, left. But I mean, they owned it, but it was just an abandoned house that I guess just nobody's living in.
Either that, or it was like they do the time capsule like their parents die or something.
Again, we didn't ask. We were basically looking at the cab over and everything else. But yeah, I mean, there was it was a treasure trove though. I mean, I think he looked at, there was a barn that was locked, like a smaller barn that was locked, and he kind of shone his flashlight in there and like looked underneath the door. He said he saw like model trains and stuff like that, like Lionel trains from like the 1930s and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it was a huge treasure trove.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just people don't know how to deal with death and stuff like that, and they're just like, nope, I'm done, and they'll walk away from it and then never go back. You get that, just like parents that lose a kid or something, and they never go back in their kids' room.
Yep, they never change the kids' room; they just leave it the same.
Yeah,
the same. And then they make horror movies about that. And,
yeah. So here we go. Oh yeah. By the way, if you're wondering where we're at now, my house is kind of a wreck right now because my kids just moved out, and so I have tubs and boxes sitting everywhere, and so we're shooting at the shop. And this is just the back area of where the gaming room. Matter of fact, if you look back here, there's
don't look back.
Yeah, don't look back here.
There's nothing behind.
That's storage.
the curtain.
That's where stuff goes to die. Not people, just electronics. And I bet you there's 100 video game controllers in there somewhere. Then none of them work. But you know, we were laughing about the leaving stuff. Um, I had a guy who was I wouldn't say a regular customer. He'd come in every couple months and stuff. He cleaned out houses when they got repoed or they booted people out, and he always bring me stuff. Like he brought me a box full of Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, and some of them were dirty, had like inch of dirt on them. And I bought a lot of stuff off this guy. And he goes, "Hey, you guys, you buy weird stuff, right?" I'm like, "What's your definition of weird, man?" I was like, "Because I think it's weird. Some people may think it's creepy."
I personally know he does buy weird stuff.
Yes, I do buy weird shit.
You've got a bear head.
But by the way, Teddy Roosevelt is going to Brandon and Joe's house.
Okay, cool.
So
I don't care now.
He's going to
yours.
I know, but I told you I wouldn't get rid of.
What else have you bought? You bought oddities from me. And
Yeah, I
stuff
bought the baby coffin off of you.
Oh yeah, the baby coffin.
Yeah.
Where'd that go?
A friend of a friend.
Literally like 1930s. It was like a coffin, like maybe I don't know. Maybe
It was pretty good size. It was about 3 foot.
It was like a child's coffin. But
yeah. It was. I asked somebody, and they he knew what it was. It was a show model that they used to
probably yeah. I mean the person that I got it from said that he got it from a place that used to be a funeral home or something to that effect, and
it was a show model for to show you what the basic because that was like the basic.
Yeah, because I didn't have any like fluffy stuff in there.
No, it also had the slide around, so you put and then you'd slide the window back up, where instead of having the half the coffin and the other half the coffin, you'd put them in there, and then you would just slide so you could do and then slide it back, and it was screwed in. But okay, we're a little off topic here, but no, this guy comes in, he goes, "Hey, man, I got some weird stuff." He goes, "Would be interested?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I got this out of an abandoned house up past Sydney." And I'm like, "Okay."
What is it with Sydney tonight?
Well, no. Well, he is saying up past Sydney. Hell, it could have been Botkins. It could have been Anna, anywhere, wherever. And he brings me in this old Ouija board. Well, what do you Ouija board? It was a talking board. So it's completely different than the Ouija boards that you all see in the movies and whatnot. And I'm like, "That's cool." And he goes, "Well, you want to see the other thing I got in there?" And he brings in this box. And this box is, it's 3 foot long. And he opens it up, and there's this creepy ass, stinky doll in it. And this stuff got left behind.
Yeah, I'd leave that behind too. All right.
And I opened it up, and I'm like, I kind of wanted to keep it. But it had been sitting in his house for I don't know how long in like a back of a closet, so it's all moldy and mildewy, and it just stunk.
You would end up with Robert the Doll running around your freaking thing and everything else. Man.
That's what I wanted, so I could sell it to be like, "Hey, I guarantee you, this is might not, maybe is not a haunted doll."
I don't like dolls at all. My mom made she would take old porcelain dolls and then paint the faces and put like upside down inverted crosses like that, put like vampire teeth on them, but then still dress them up in the old style stuff and everything. They're at the antique shop right now. Somehow, I don't know how they ended up there at the antique shop in Kenmar in downtown. I went in there one day, went down to the basement, and there are my dolls, my mom's dolls. And I was like, I can't even remember we took them to Goodwill. That's what we did. We took them to freaking Goodwill, and somehow one of the sellers found them in Goodwill and bought them and freaking brought them to the antique shop. But you were talking about the talking board. I got a personal Ouija board.
Oh yeah,
For the folks if you want to hear it. All right, so I used to be a huge collector of all kinds of things, toys, freaking bikes, all kinds of stuff, and I also collected oddities. And one of the oddities that I collected were old talking boards, Ouija boards from the 1940s. Like they were all the game ones, but they had really cool graphics and stuff like that. Like it was the Egyptian graphics. Some said Ouija is WEEGEE. You know, like it was just really cool and everything. So I had probably about.
I ended up with 2 of them.
10, yeah.
I got like 8.
I had about 10 of them all together, and I used to have them on the walls. Like I used to put them on the walls, and then when I was doing my display for them, I mean, you can't just put the planchettes on the walls because they're not flat and everything else. So I was trying to figure out a way to display the planchettes. So I put I had a Buffy the Vampire Slayer Ouija board, which actually my ex still has. Because that was her, I bought it for her. So I put that on a shelf, and the shelf was a bookshelf, and the shelf that I put them on was only about, it was the second shelf, so it was only about maybe 3 feet off the ground, and that comes into play here. Okay, so and then I put the planchettes. I put one down, and then one next to it, a little bit cockeyed, so it kind of made like a half sun or that kind of a thing. And I just spread them out like that, and I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. I don't remember exactly how many, but let's just say for that I had like 6 of them just kind of spread out into like a half circle as a display. It looked really freaking cool. Now, another thing that comes into play, the one on the end, on the right side, it had a broken foot. So it was just kind of leaning. It wasn't like all the other ones that had all their feet and everything. So it was kind of leaning. Now, I set this up. I go to bed. I wake up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I gotta take a piss. So I get up. And I got to walk through my little toy room to go to the bathroom. I walk into my toy room, turn on the light. As I'm walking to the bathroom, I look over at the display, and the one with the broken foot is on top. Like not fully on top, but the broken part of the foot is on top of one of the other planchets. Dude, that freaked me the fuck out. Because I'm sitting there looking at something and I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Because that would take some force. That would take, that's not
That
just,
takes you going.
That's not just something like being pushed over. That's something literally being, because it had to lift up, pushed over, and then set down on top of the other planchet. And I'm like, whoa. So I revert to my normal response. And my normal response is I literally look around and I'm like, hey, I don't know if you're real. I don't care if you're real. I tell you what, you're going to stop that right now. I will respect you if you respect me. And this isn't respecting me. Like I would literally yell this out because I feel that if you just lay down the law for these ghosts, that they'll be like, oh, this guy ain't messing around. And I literally said at the end of it, I was like, and if I see this shit again, I'm going to call a priest and we're going to have an exorcism. So I put it all back. And then I went into debunking mode. After that, I took a piss and freaking went into debunking mode. I'm like, what the hell could have done this? And I'm looking all around and I'm like, I can't figure this out. And then I look over and underneath another bookshelf, there's my cat. I had a cat and my cat was very mischievous. Now, can I absolutely positively prove that it was a ghost? No. Can I absolutely positively prove that it was my cat? No. But logic dictates that it was the cat and not a ghost, because it never happened again. That's kind of weird though, because you would think my cat would still want to play with the planchettes, but I don't know. It was the first night. Maybe the cat was curious.
Played with it and it's like,
played with it and was like, not so fun, and walked away. I don't know. But my house, the house that I used to live in, the farmhouse, there's a couple little weird things. First off, we did what's that? The electromagnetic EMP. We did an EMP on it and got really weird readings. You get close to the ground and the EMP is off the freaking charts. Like, I mean, it's just weird. You go up above you and it's weird. Right where we're at, like standing level, nothing at all. I'm not sure if that has, again, there's a lot of science and studies about EMP and the effects on the human body and everything else and stuff like that. But my house, so I've witnessed this part of it, and my ex-wife witnessed other parts of this, but the part that I witnessed is every once in a while I would walk into a room and you would see the doorknobs kind of moving back and forth. They're just not sure. Possibly could be mice.
Could be cats
because
too. the
one that I definitely saw, no, it wasn't a cat, because the cat was in another room at the time that I walked in, because the door that it was the closet.
Okay.
So, but it would kind of turn and do all that stuff. And when I did my investigation on it, inside the closet wasn't finished, and there was some cracks along the door jamb.
Mm-hmm.
Could it have been a mouse? Possibly. I mean, there was mouse droppings up on the top and stuff like that, so mice could crawl up and do that. I never saw a mouse though, like when it was doing that. Now, my wife at the time, she was adamant that doorknob would do that all the time when I was out on the road and stuff like that. Like, she was actually pretty scared, and she would also hear old-timey baseball games, like coming through a radio. That's what it sounded like. So it was literally like, oh, now it's a Boston Red Sox and it's a Babe Ruth and it's and you would hear she would hear the static, and it sounded like it was coming from an old radio. And I'm like, wow, that's really freaky. I don't know, like, I never experienced that.
Yeah.
I never experienced anything like that. I could tell you that the old lady that I know of, nobody died in the house. I can tell you that the old lady that died, and then my parents she died in the hospital. And the only weird thing about the house that is verifiable is that she built the upstairs so Jesus could come live with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was really religious, and the farmhouse was a one-story farmhouse for a long time. And at some point, when she was living there, she decided that she was going to build an upstairs so Jesus could come live with her.
You know, there was probably a radio actually plugged in somewhere in a wall or something, and just left there for.
No, there's no way, because I would have heard it or something like that.
Yeah.
Like how does that even? I mean, a radio lasting that long, for one thing, inside of a wall, being plugged in, playing all the time, playing stuff that's talking about Babe Ruth.
No, I know that. What's funny is that house is still out there. That's the one in Lockington, right?
Yeah, that's my cousin actually lives out there now. She bought the house from my parents, so she lives out there. And just so you know, she has said so far, at least the last time that I asked her, that she hasn't experienced anything. So.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm a Boglin. Me and my buddies want to be your friend, right, guys? Right. Call us at 1-900-909-5464 and hear how we can protect you from ferocious beasts.
And help you teach your grade your math test.
Yeah, new story every day.
One call gets you a 3D Boglin hologram like this.
4 calls get you a set of 6. Trade them with your buddies.
And part of your $2.35 2-minute call goes to Special Olympics.
So get your parents' permission and call us at 1-900-909-5464. Don't get the phone. I said get it, not eat it.
There's goblins, there's ghouls, there's pirates about. Halloween's coming, the trick-or-treaters are out. But look at that witch on Halloween night. She's the first one with a blinking pumpkin light. Pumpkin light flashes so everyone knows she is near. Pumpkin light makes Halloween safer and scarier this year. And pumpkin light safer for a spooky pumpkin too. Just pop it right in and watch your pumpkin go boo.
Pumpkin Light is available at Osco, Purity Supreme, Spags, and Leeward's.
Now, I got to get off the ghost topic here, because we talked about this earlier today. Me and my buddy Tom, Senator Tom passed away a few years back. We were sitting there talking one day, and we were bullshitting, and I want to say, like, Monster Quest was on the History Channel. And they were talking about the Ohio Grass Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at me and he goes, man, when I was like 11 years old, I was fishing on the river here in Piqua. And he goes, I'm fishing and I hear something. And he goes, I look over and there's this hairy man. Looks like a hairy man in the bushes, like next to me, like drinking water out of the river and stuff. And he goes, scared the hell out of me. I ran off and I'm like, and I'm just sitting there because it's literally out of the blue, just watching this. And he's telling me a story, and I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Because man, when I was a kid, I don't know, 12, 13. I still lived here in Piqua at the time. We used to go fishing on the river because I lived on Riverside. We'd go through the woods and we'd fish back on the river. I'd go back there by myself all the time, and I'm fishing, and I see this guy. Assuming it's a guy, long, matty hair, shit, dirty looking and stuff like that. And he comes out and he's like sitting there, like he's drinking water, looking around. He sees me and bolts back into the woods. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know what the Ohio Grassman was. Never heard of it before. You know, I was big into Bigfoot and Yeti and stuff like that when I was a kid. Never heard of the
Sure, it
Grassman.
wasn't Harold. You ever know who?
Yeah,
Harold?
Buckets.
I don't know what his last name was.
No. They called him Buckets because he walked around with the buckets.
Yeah, Harold was the Pick was homeless. Guy for the longest time.
He lived under the bridge. He lived under the bridge not far from. Then he ended up living in one of the old buildings downtown. I got a story about that too. So, you know, I never thought nothing about it. And then years later, I moved up into Sydney. Well, I was still on the same river, not far from the same river. I used to fish the same river. And so I might have been, 15, 16, because when you turn 16, you got to get a fishing license or whatever. So I fished up until I had to get a fishing license. And yet again, I see almost the exact same thing. This
in a different spot.
Yeah, like 10 miles up the road. And I'm like, it comes out of the bush. You seem like getting in the water and then kind of look around. And then getting in the water and looking around, and next thing you know, back into the woods. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, I got a friend telling me this, and Tom was my uncle's age, so that probably puts him about 14 years older than me. So he saw this when he was like, you know, 11, 12 years old. So I wasn't even born yet. And so that many years later, I see almost exactly what he saw. And then a few years later, I saw it again. And I ended up talking to Ken Gerhard. He's on History Channel a lot. He's a cryptozoologist and stuff. Me and him started talking online a few years ago. And we started talking, because it started out, I thought I saw a thunderbird. Around this time of the year, I worked in Lima. And driving up 75, and I'm driving along. I thought it was a Halloween decoration, because there is the remnants of a like road sign, big billboard, and there's this big bird sitting on top of this pole, and I'm like, man, somebody put a big ass fucking fake bird over there. And then I see the son of a bitch looking around doing this shit, and it goes, and it wingspan sticks out. It shakes its wings, and then folds them back in. And that wingspan looked like it had to be 8 fucking feet long. I mean, because you're driving down the road. I get perception isn't the greatest while you're driving and stuff like that. But goddamn, the thing had to be, because you saw it on top of the pole. So I'm guessing it had to be at least 3 foot tall. Buzzards, what? 18 inches, 2 foot?
Yeah. I mean,
they get big.
yeah.
They get big. But I mean, this thing was twice the size of a normal buzzard. But I started talking to Ken about that, and then I started talking to Ken about seeing the grass man. Because I was like, man, I told him the story. I told him about Tom, and he's like, yeah. He goes, that's what descriptions of the grass man fit. And I was like, I'm not lying, because when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I like cryptozoology. I didn't know what cryptozoology was when I was like 11, 12, because that wasn't a thing yet. Because all I knew back then was Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster. And that's all you knew. Occasionally Thunderbird, if you watched In Search Of.
You're a skeptic of like ghosts and stuff. Are you in the same boat with cryptids? Or...
Cryptids, I am 50-50 on cryptids. Okay. I don't believe Loch Ness Monster's real. There's just not enough food in that lake. I believe it's just a sturgeon. I believe it's just misinterpreting of actual.
I didn't explain this. I explained it to you. Is I'm 50-50. Like I want to believe in ghosts. I think 90% of everything that I see on TV and YouTube and stuff like that is bullcrap, because it's very easy to debunk stuff and look at stuff and be like, yeah, that's fake.
It's so easy to fake stuff now.
But there are some really, like, again, personal experiences that I've had that I can explain most things, but there's a few of them that I can't explain. When it comes to cryptids, though, I'm sorry, dude. Did you heard that they found like a whole new species of chimpanzees back was that back in the 90s or whatever? They're human size. That wasn't the thing. But did you hear that they found a new species of whale down in like the Baja California?
Vaguely.
For years they've been recording these whale sounds, and they're like, these whale sounds sound weird. Like we know that they're whales, but they're not like normal whale sounds. And for years, they were trying to figure this out and everything else. And finally, this was just like last year or a year before, like 2 years ago or something like that. Someone finally got video of it. It was a whole new species of whale that has never been filmed, never knew about it.
And now, do I believe that they're all, like orang-pendek? I just think that's, I believe that's a type of like orangutan that we don't know about. Mm-hmm. I believe that, yes, people go, oh, it's misinterpretation. I'm like, yeah, I believe most of it is misinterpretation. But, you can think, well, that you hear galloping hooves on coming towards you. Yes, 99% of the time, that shit's going to be a horse coming at you. Every once in a while, that shit's going to be a zebra.
That's going to be something you ain't seen before.
But yeah, and it's going to be... this world's big. We keep finding new shit all the time. And do I believe that they're fucking mystical, fucking, they travel in and out of our dimension? No. And do I think they're solitary? Yeah, probably. I think that what they do is they stay in a family group just long enough for the children to become self-reliant, and then they go off into their own. Then they find when it's time to make another one, that's why there's not that many of them.
Yeah, like once in a span of a lifetime for a human, that whole family might make one child. Or
if that, yeah. And it's. Do I think they're territorial? Yeah, I think that. But I think they're territorial, but because I think there might be like 2, 3, 4, 5 of them in a massively big area. Mm-hmm. And that's why they keep everything out, because it's only a handful of them. That's, when you're fighting for food, you don't want to overpopulate. So, and, we all know there's gorillas. There's not a whole lot of them.
Yep.
So.
And they're concentrated into, like, basically one little section of the world, too.
Yeah. And we get a lot of, I don't believe the megalodon is still real. I think we absolutely have big ass sharks out there, but fish are fish. Fish get as big as their environment lets them. But the only other problem about getting big is that you become a bigger target. Mm-hmm. So I think, do I think there's big great whites out there? Yes, there's big. Do I think there's megalodons? No, because fucking nothing would be safe on the ocean if there was megalodons. Because everything would be food.
But again, the giant squid. you know, back in the 1800s, people would depict a giant squid and
the giant octopuses and shit like that.
well, yeah, but they literally for the longest time said that, oh, that's just a myth. There's sea serpent stories and stuff like that. And now we've got giant squids.
And we got colossal squids.
Yeah, they're freaking 200 feet long. They're freaking huge. Are they big enough to take down a ship? Yeah, no. But again, you look at the stories, okay, this is the fear of man who tells these stories, and they're like, oh, yes, I saw a giant squid one time, and he probably saw a giant squid up against a sperm whale and was like, holy shit, there's a giant squid up against a sperm whale? This motherfucker gonna take down a freaking whole ship. You know?
Well, you know, okay, well, it's like, you know, manatees, everybody thought fucking manatees were fucking mermaids.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I could see like sea lions and shit like that being mistaken for, you know, but
a lot of these sailors are drunk.
Oh yeah, well
because beer goggles, man, they make everything look better.
Because you either you drink the nasty ass water and you use alcohol to cover up the shit taste of barreled water on the ocean.
It also helped with
scurvy. Scurvy. That's why they would always eat oranges and limes and lemon and shit. Yeah, but. Yeah, you know, do I discount all of them? No. Do I think that I believe in the chupacabra, but I don't believe in the chupacabra, the little goat sucking little. Do I believe in the weird mangy looking dog one? Yes.
Yeah, they got actual video of that.
They've got video of them and they've caught them, and they're like, what their whole claim is that they're coyotes with the mange.
Well, actually, I think what they did, they actually, because they caught one, they got DNA evidence of it. It was just a domesticated dog, but it was a domesticated dog that had like some really bad skin condition.
Yeah. And I don't think that there's anything mystical about them or anything like that. I just think they're sick animals for the most part.
Okay, so question now, because I want to get into this story. What about skinwalkers? You want me to tell my story?
Well, hold on a second. Skinwalkers, yes and no.
Skinwalkers
as werewolves and were-creatures, no. I don't think a man puts on the skin of a wolf and becomes a wolf. I think a man puts on the skin of a wolf and then kills people pretending to be.
Okay, kind of like a berserker.
Like the berserker. Yeah. I think that the shamans or the not the shamans, but the people who claim to be skinwalkers in Indian legends and stuff like that, I think that they would don animal furs and shit like that, and they'd probably do peyote or whatever, and they would go and they would fulfill. This is self-fulfilling. What's the way you call it? Self-fulfilling prophecy. If you want a monster.
Yeah, they go into a trance and they start acting like animals, and they kind of emulate what a wolf
exactly.
Does and everything else.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think I told you this story one time, and I think because it's so vivid in my head, I think we pulled it up on Google Maps and I showed you the intersection where it was at. So for the people out there, I'm not going to remember what the intersection is and everything else, but I was over on the east side of Columbus, headed south, and it was, I can't remember if it was north or south of Heath, Ohio. But I was on this road that went north and south that went right through the downtown area of Heath, Ohio. And it was in the country, so I can't remember. It wasn't actually in Heath, Ohio. It was north or south of it. I can't remember that. But I came up to this stop sign, and it was the road that I was on and like some sort of state route that I was on. And it kind of went up a little bit, and then after you went over the intersection, it went down a little hill. And as I stopped at the stop sign, the only thing I can explain this as is that a German Shepherd and a Great Dane had a baby, and this thing was it looked like a German Shepherd. It was the size of a Great Dane or bigger. I can't get any more into that. I don't know, like Great Danes to me are huge.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
They stand when they when they
So
stand
this
on hind legs, are over 6
this
foot
thing
tall.
that looked like a German Shepherd kind of jumped over this fence with ease.
Mhm.
Went across the road that I was on, and then easily didn't even look like it jumped, just kind of walked over another fence. And that fence, I mean, if I were to stand next to it, would have been up to my chest, you know. And this thing was not like it was menacing looking. Like this thing, it was really, really skinny, like almost emancipated or whatever you want to call it, emaciated, and you could see its ribs and everything. And I literally said, I was like, "Holy shit, that's a big fucking dog." And then I drove across after it had crossed over. I drove across, and I saw it, and it didn't stand up on its legs or anything, but it did turn back, and you saw the glow, like the eye flash,
shine,
the eye shine. There you go, the eye shine, and it was like red eye shine, and dude, that freaked me. I just kept on going, but I always remember that because I was like, I don't think I misremember it, but if there was anything like a werewolf out there, that was it.
Now, what's funny is that we had this discussion a while back on you know, how you remember, because there's always there's your side story, their side story, and the truth. Because you remember it, you know, it's like shit that scared the hell out of you when you were a kid. You look at it and go, and then you look at it and go, man, how the hell did that scare me? You know, because you got to look at it. But man, when you were a kid, you know, the neighbor's dog or whatever, that shit was, you know, stood 5 foot tall at its you know, and weighed 300 pounds.
Oh yeah, there's definitely it's called, what is it, perceived gigantism? Or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
because
Like
we look at things, we think they're a lot bigger. You know, that's like there was one day cutting through over here in Candlewood, there was a crow eating something dead in the middle of the road. And I was like, man, that's a big ass crow. And my brain's like, it can't be that damn big. It's just optical illusion, you know? And I get up on her and the damn thing just kind of hops out and looks at me as I drive by, like, what are you going to do about it? And that thing was goddamn fucking that big, and it was a crow. It's every bit that fat. And no fear of man, no nothing. But yeah, you look at stuff and you think, oh man, that thing is huge. But it's especially at night, your brain will play tricks on you and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, because especially if, you know, hell, it could have been, you know, a mixed breed dog. It could have been
and again, this was at like, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It was late. It was late at night. I didn't think I was tired because again, I remember stuff like this pretty vividly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, you know, my memory could be skewed a little bit, but the fact that I do remember saying, "Jesus Christ, that's a big fucking dog," you know, like,
oh yeah,
well,
you know, you talk about remember stuff, but yeah, there's definitely stuff out there that, you know, whether it's, I wouldn't say man-made, but fucked up nature causing things to, you know, Great Dane breeds with a German Shepherd, breeds with a Coyote, breeds with a.
I kind of want to see what that looks like. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
well, that's like, okay. I didn't realize up until recently. I never heard of like sleep paralysis or old hag syndrome or any of that stuff. And then I watched the documentary on it, and I was like, oh shit, okay, I had that when I was a kid, you know. And it's when you remember stuff, you know, you remember seeing it, but you know that's because your brain is both awake and asleep at the same time.
No.
Would you look up Great Dane?
Yeah,
German Shepherd
Great
mix?
Dane.
Look up Great Dane Coyote. I know that's stupid, but you might look that up. But I was sitting there, I was like, man, I had that happen to me as a kid. And to this day, I can tell you exactly what the old hag was that was in my room. I can tell you exactly what it looked like. But, you know.
That doesn't look like that. Yeah. You know what? I mean, looking at the size of this one right here, man, that's a big freaking looking German Shepherd.
Oh yeah, them big fucking wolfhounds. Yep.
I mean, again, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that camera.
Look at the camera on the other thing. Yeah.
So that right there, I would say is close to the freaking size, except the only difference is this thing is well fed, and the thing that I saw was really skinny, like super freaking skinny, where you could see its like whole rib cage and everything. But I mean, it was fucking huge. And this was Heath, Ohio, like near Heath, Ohio. There's not wolves, right? I mean, it could have been a emaciated wolf.
Shouldn't be wolves up here, but you never know because people buy wolves as pets. They get them at those swap meets and stuff like that, and then they get too big and they just let them loose.
Well, my parents got a Doberman, and it's a female Doberman, and this dog weighs 115 pounds as a female Doberman. Like, when we had Dobermans back when I was a kid, it was like maybe 60, 50 pounds. Like,
yeah, it's 60.
This is
100. 70.
Yeah, this is 115 pound dude. The last time they took her to the vet, they said, okay, put her on rations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my mom started putting on rations to help her lose weight. Took her back to the vet. She gained 5 pounds. This is like Clifford the Red Dog. This dog just keeps on growing.
Well, what's funny, we talk about dogs. My wife's dog, that damn dog does not run like a dog. That dog runs like a deer. Mm-hmm. It bounces and hops. And that dog, if it wanted over the fence, the dog would just jump over the fence, but it won't jump over the fence. That dog will jump straight up, and it will be this high. Our fence is only this high. And that dog will just jump straight up, and it won't go over the fence. But it'll freak people out, though.
Okay, so have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
Yes, when I was a kid, okay. I like I said, I was sitting there. I watched that documentary, and I was like, man, I did that when I was a kid. I remember it vividly, and I could tell you exactly what the old hag looked like and everything.
Exactly, right? Yes. Yeah. That right? Why? Okay, have they figured that out? Because they're all scientific about it. They're like, oh no, that's just a normal thing. It's sleep paralysis. It's not a ghost. You know, because people are like, they sit there and say, oh, I've had a paranormal experience. I've been held down by an old woman before. Like, oh my God, I see this old woman in front of me and everything else. And then they say, no, it's just sleep paralysis. Well, how do you explain the old woman?
Yeah, see, mine is that they say it's because your brain is both awake and asleep at the same time. And you're awake, you're acknowledging your brain, your body's still in the sleep mode, so your body doesn't want to like try to get up because your body still thinks it's asleep. And so your brain fills in the space of somebody holding you down because you want to get up, but your body, that part of everything hasn't, it's slowly doing this, and then until it finally locks into place and then turns over, and that's when you get like, oh, okay, what the hell, because that's you're awake and you're asleep, and this is your body slowly coming together. Well, your body is trying to get up. Your brain is telling your body to get up, but your body still thinks it's asleep because that part of the brain is still asleep. And so your brain fills in the fact that you can't get up by somebody holding you down.
Okay, so it's just a subconscious thing.
It's supposedly a subconscious thing. But my problem is, and this is one thing I always have an issue with, is not everybody's hag looks the same. Sometimes it's a shadow man. Sometimes it's, just another person. And stuff like that, but it's always somebody holding you down or like, whatever, not making a noise. I mean, like I said, I can tell you exactly, to this day, I was still living here in Pickwas as a kid, so 11, 12, 13 years old, I can tell you, and I get part of it was, my parents were going through a divorce, there was a lot of stress in the family then, and shit like that. I get that. And that plays part into it.
How many times has it happened?
Just the once, but I can
once?
remember it plain as day.
It's happened to me 3 times in my entire life. First time I was in high school. I went to military school down in Virginia, and I was taking a nap. It was middle of the day, and I was taking a nap. It was like on a Saturday or something like that, and I was under the covers, and I woke up, and it literally like again, my brain, it felt like someone just literally like as soon as I was about to get up, pushed me back down and put their hand over my mouth, to the effect that, at least in my brain, is I yelled out. I literally yelled out, "What the fuck?" And that's what it sounded like. It sounded like someone was doing that to me, and with their hand, like I could still. It gives me shivers right now, just freaking, thinking about this right here, someone's hand over my mouth. That's why it sounded. And I yelled out, basically, "What the fuck?" And I said, "Get off of me. Get over me." And as soon as I said that, I mean, it was gone. And freaking that first time, I jumped out of bed because, I did it. And I was like, looking around like, what the hell was that? And then I looked back at my bed, and I mean, it was like perfectly made. Like, it wasn't like made, but the blanket, it could happen. I don't know how it can happen because I was under the covers, and when I jumped up, I literally flung everything up, and then when I looked back over the bed, it looked like it had laid back down perfect.
Yeah, or what could have been was you were just sleeping on top of the covers, and your brain, like I said, was still dreaming. And you thought you were still under the covers. It's like that when you have that waking dreams, when you think you're awake, but you...
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't...
But no, I'm just trying to... I'm being on both parts of this, but...
Again, this was back in high school. I had no idea what sleep paralysis was.
I didn't know either.
I had no idea what the old hag was. I had no idea. And at that time, I didn't see an old woman. That time. I didn't see an old woman or anything else. But I had no idea what any of this stuff was. And what did they call it before they called it sleep paralysis? It was something else. It was something paranormal, right? It was...
Well, you had waking nightmares, which was where you're awake and you would have the nightmares, and that's when people did the and come up out of shit and whatnot.
I can't remember, but the second time it happened, I was in the truck, and I was a truck driver. Like, for years, it never happened again. But then I was in the truck as a truck driver, and I was in the bed, and I woke up, and the same damn thing. It was like someone, but I could feel the knees like next to me, like they were on top of me with their knees over on my side, so like right here or whatever, and they were pushing down on me, and again, hand over the freaking thing. And this time, I saw a face, and it was an old woman. It's fucking, that is seriously that your brain is gonna do that to you. I don't want to get this brain out of here. Just go ahead and do some brain surgery.
Your brain will fuck with you is what it will do, man.
And then the last time, actually, it happened here just recently. And this one wasn't that bad, though, because this time, I mean, I woke up and I couldn't move. And I just yelled out, "Get the fuck off me!" And it just, whatever it was, let go.
Yeah, me, I was laying in my bed.
The last time I didn't see an old woman. I only saw the old woman once.
And I wouldn't say it was even an old woman. I'm laying in bed, and I wake up, and there's somebody floating over my bed. And
that's like the Ghostbusters shit.
It was a hooded, like a hooded shawl type thing. You couldn't see the face. Had, for lack of a better term, moth's wings sticking out his back, like a but they were all kind of tattered, and everything was in gray. Everything was gray, and I remember trying to scream, and nothing coming out, and panic starts setting in. You're trying to get up, you're trying to run, you're trying to do that, and it's just sitting there like this over top of you, and you're just like. You start to and then all of a sudden it's like, everything's gone. I'm like,
it seems like, so for me at least, it seemed like screaming out, "Get the fuck off me," or at least screaming, like it got your brain
mine
working or something like that.
I remember not even being able to scream. I remember and you know, like nothing came out.
See me, I mean, it was hard to, again, like I said, I would scream, but it was sound muffled. It was sound like someone was putting their freaking hand over their mouth.
Oh yeah. Now I have weird ass dream. I had a dream. It kept popping up here and there. I was being hunted by evil dolls, but I was being proactive about it and trying to destroy them. But before I could destroy them, I'd wake up. So I'd like get one pinned in like the corner of a room, and I'd like beating it with a chair or something. Mm-hmm. And before I could break it or anything, I'd wake up. My whole problem is right now, I wake up not knowing where I'm at, like badly.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be laying there in my own bed or on the couch downstairs, still like recently, and I'll wake up and I'm like, where the fuck am I? And then it takes a full, like, it feels like forever, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm home, you know, and I'm like, okay, and I'll settle down, and I get recently because we're moving upstairs, so I've been sleeping up in Brandon's old room. And so I went from being in the middle bedroom on the main floor to the bedroom in the upstairs. But even if I fall asleep on the couch downstairs, and it was bad when I lived in Troy. I mean, I get like one of the last times it happened in Troy is because we were moving to Piqua, and I woke up and literally our house was almost completely empty. I was like getting towards the end where I was loading up everything every day and driving to Piqua, and I was, and it started, I don't know, 5 years ago, like real bad, and I wake up and I don't know where I'm at.
For me, that's happened to me a lot, but only when I was a truck driver. Mm-hmm. Like I am a truck driver. Yeah. But when I was over the road,
were over road, yeah.
So every night I was in a different state. I was in a different city. Mm-hmm. I was doing all kinds of stuff. So I would wake up and it would take me like a few minutes. I'd be like, what do I need to do today? Kind of a thing. Like, where am I at? Where am I making my delivery? But that hasn't happened in forever. Now, my dreams are a little bit different than yours. Last dream I had that I remember was I was best friends with Ryan Reynolds. He and I were in college, and we didn't like the Dean, so we decided to steal the Dean's Lamborghini.
So Van Wilder too.
So, but the Dean's Lamborghini didn't have any seats in it. So me and Ryan Reynolds hot wired this Lamborghini, and we're laying down in the Lamborghini driving, and all we see are the stars in the sky. And all I can remember is right before I woke up, Ryan Reynolds looking over at me and saying, "Hey, at least we got a nice view." And then I woke up. Now the nightmares I have are always driving a truck. I will be driving a truck in my dream, and it's so vivid and so lucid that when I wake up, I can't believe that I didn't crash, like, because I'm about to crash, like, or I am crashing. Well, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, thank God.
Well, that's because from what I've studied, I've read I don't know how many books on dream and sleep and whatnot, because for years and years I didn't dream. And it was because my sleep schedule was so screwed up that they say everybody dreams, but I didn't remember it. I'd go months, sometimes even a year before I'd even remember a dream.
There's a long times before
And so I started looking into dreams and stuff like that. But I know a lot of mine are stress dreams. Whenever I worry about something, whenever something happens, I start really having really vivid, screwed up dreams, and you wake up in a panic or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I don't really have nightmares. Like, even in my nightmares, like I said, I had the dreams where I was being chased by dolls, but somebody was sending that after me. In my dreams, I was even going after them. It wasn't scary. They would like come at me. I'm like, whatever, you little motherfucker.
Well, you could get nightmares are different for everybody. Is you could be the hero in the nightmares.
Yeah. And I've never
fight it off. Again, I do that again. I've done that many times in my nightmares or dreams or whatever. Where something really fucked up is happening, and you're all you're trying to do is trying to fix it or trying to figure out how to survive it, kind of a thing or whatever. So, but it's still a nightmare. It's not a pleasant dream.
No, I've just had these ones where it's like, my worst dream, the one that I know is bad because this is the most stress dream, is I'm really paranoid about my teeth. My mom works at the dentist's office. and when you start having your dreams where your teeth are falling out, and I'm like, and I wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh God.
I have had those exact vivid dreams where I'm in a dream. I can't remember what the dream is about, but all I remember about the dream is that I either clench my teeth or I go to bite into something and
you break your
all my teeth just break.
I've been living the same stress dream for, I don't know, like a decade, and it feels like my hair's all falling out. All right, man. I think we're going to kind of wrap this one up. We're an hour in.
Okay.
Almost 15 minutes in.
It was a Halloween party where fantasies come true. I put on Showtime makeup and did a dance or two. The boys and ghouls were hanging out like vamp and tigress too. My Showtime face was all in place, then Rock Angel, I saw you.
It's Showtime, the adult Halloween makeup. Showtime is hypoallergenic, more comfortable than masks, more fun too.
You know you are my fantasy, but I can't speak to you.
Make up a Halloween fantasy with Showtime makeup.
For great Halloween fun, pick up some spooky decorations at Walgreens. Just $7.99 each. Scary sound-activated Halloween figures, battery-operated pirate skull, witches, skeletons, and more. Stock up on Halloween candy, too. Walgreens has a wide selection of treats and goodies of all kinds. And it's time to order your holiday photo greeting cards. Put your favorite photo on any of 6 beautiful designs. All orders include a free marker pen. Treat yourself to savings this week at Walgreens.
We would have went longer, but we had technical issues at the beginning of this episode because we were shooting it here at the thing. Hopefully, we'll be back to
I
the
still
show.
got more stories.
I got some more stories.
Can I tell one more?
Yeah, sure.
It's not really a ghost story, but it's kind of a freaky story. I went to a military school, and this military school was it was built in 1906 or 1909 or something like that. There's a lot of ghost stories I'll tell later on, but this one story is the whole military school was on like thousands of acres of land or whatever, and I don't know how many acres, hundreds, thousands, whatever. But we would always sneak out at night, and we would go across this big giant field of farmland to go to this gas station that would sell beer to anybody, especially high school kids without an ID. This was back in the 90s, so one of our markers was this old abandoned house. Now, this was back in 1995, 1996. Blair Witch, I just looked it up because I wanted to tell the story, is Blair Witch didn't come out until 1999. But do you remember that fucking house that they were in? And it had children's handprints all over? This fucking house inside had it looked like blood. It wasn't red. It was like brown.
Yeah, get that brown, reddish brown.
Reddish brown.
Yeah,
and it was all like my hand as they were all smaller than my hand. It was the freakiest thing ever. And we always had stories. There's devil worshippers out there and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah.
And there were some like symbols and stuff like that. Someone spray painted a cross out there and everything else. But the hands really freaky. I mean, you can't believe that this old abandoned house, like going up the stairs, you got little tiny hands.
We'll get back on another episode. I'll do this because, like I said, statute of limitations up, so I can tell about other breaking and entering stories. I can tell you the one night we went looking for devil worshippers up north of Piqua because there was the Satanic Church up north of Piqua that we never did find. But yeah, we got all kinds of good stories.
Well, dude, I got so many stories. I lived less than a mile away from Lockington Dam, and you had the Lockington Werewolf.
Yeah, I grew up in a house probably between your house and the Lockington Dam.
And that's why I think your story about the Grassman being, you said over by Riverside, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hop, skip, and a jump away from freaking Lockington.
Yeah, because you would go across the river, and then you would hit that road, and it takes you right into Lockington.
Well, I think doesn't that river?
And yeah, the river goes right through Lockington. Yeah, that's right underneath Lockington Dam. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so I just again, I just thought it was weird.
Yeah. I've talked to, like I said, talked to Ken Gerhardt about this area, and this area is just a shit ton of weird and paranormal and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you go out on 36, you have that massacre that was out there.
Never heard about that. What?
Yeah, back in Indians, there was a massacre out there.
Okay, back in India. Okay.
Back in Indian days, yeah. But yeah, there's all kinds of creepy shit that goes on around here. And yeah, being a skeptic and everything, yeah, some of it's just weird shit. And you get that in your head, so you start hearing the shit and whatnot. But yeah, there's some legit weird shit that goes on out there.
Again, always try to debunk it.
Yeah.
If you're one of these people that is just like every single that Expedition X, that girl that's on Expedition X. I mean, she is just so adamant that everything is it's a UFO. That's a UFO. And the guy is looking like rolling his eyes, and he's like, "Yes, technically, it is an unidentified.
It is an unidentified flying object, but
it's not an alien."
or you can you can do my favorite guy, which is Zach Baggins. So you can sit there and you can do the. I gotta get an EVP. I gotta get an EVP here, man. Check it out. Why are you flexing, dude? Why are you flexing?
Gotta show everybody that he works out.
There we go. Show them the guns, man. That's
Which way to the haunted house?
That way.
That way.
And we're gonna play some volleyball after. What was it? My favorite thing was this one guy because I've done gay porn, and that scene in Top Gun is still gayer than anything I've ever been in.
That is the way up.
Oh,
I love it.
Oh, but all right, we're gonna tie it up. We're at almost an hour 20. Actually, we'll probably edit the beginning of this, so this will be about an hour 15, and it'll be a good snippet. But as always, the Group Therapy Podcast is brought to you by RU Game, the best comic book collectible store, junk store in all of Pickwa, Ohio, located right here. This is RU Game. This is the storage. This is not the storage. This is the gaming area. We flip this some bitch around, you'd see the tables where everybody can play. Look, we got a big play mat here. You play Magic here. As always, you can check me out too on my other show, which is the Saturday Morning Serial Show, where I show you the best in Saturday morning cartoons, because I did show The Thing cartoon from Hanna-Barbera with Benji Grimm. Thing rings, do your thing.
Nice.
But I did show him. I love Bucky O'Hare. I love Bucky O'Hare is such an underrated comic book / cartoon.
It's a good toy line too.
A good toy line. Yeah. I wish I would have got them reissued figures that Four Horsemen put out. I kicked myself in the ass because I wasn't in toys collectible at that time, and I'm like, ah, damn it. All right, and I am Paul.
I'm Mick.
And we will see you again. And I will be back with another episodes. And we've got a ton of great guests coming. And Mick will be back for another show. So this Halloween season, we are bringing you some great guests. We've got everything from actors to comic book writers to horror movie hosts to a wrestling promoter to just... I've got.
Promise me one thing: when you get big enough and you have Elvira on, all right, I don't have to be your guest host. I just want to be sitting over there.
And this
I'll keep quiet. I swear.
This is what's funny. I've met Cassandra Peterson. Tina and I met her at Horror Hound, I don't know, a bunch of years back. I was a little disappointed. Believe me, Cassandra Peterson, great person, lovely person. I'm so glad I met her, but I wanted to meet Elvira.
Well, see, that's where you're going to have to put in the contract when you're big enough. Be like, hey, Cassandra, I know you're Cassandra, but I want to interview Elvira.
And see, that's what I'm going to do.
You're going to have to put it that way because she literally goes by... Elvira is a total different entity.
Yeah. Because Cassandra Peterson is, 72? And Elvira is like 30.
She's a knockout for a 72.
Oh yeah. Literally one of my biggest crushes is still on Cassandra Peterson. And it's funny because what was it? Somebody goes, man, the CIA needs to hire her girlfriend because that woman kept a secret for that long, and they're like, "What?" Dude, if I was dating Elvira, I would tell everybody. I wouldn't hide that from nobody.
I do want to say something about that though. Is that she's not a lesbian. She's fully admitted she still likes guys.
Yeah, she's
bi.
Yeah.
So
but no,
but she's not fully going over to the dark side, guys. Okay.
There's
There's still a chance.
Yeah.
And now there's a chance.
No, if you're watching my show, there is no chance that you but no, we've got a guest coming up, and she's going to be interviewed in character. So
Ooh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
And it's funny because, like I said, the whole month of October is booked for me. I would have shot this one earlier this month. Earlier this week, we're actually this episode is going to be a little late. We're just going to have a shorter window. I had some family issues come up, and that's why we had to shoot today instead. So
yeah.
But all right, well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody, we will see you later, and have a good night. And as Dave Mustaine from Megadeth used to say, he goes, "You have been great. We have been Group Therapy Podcast." Good night.